You're in a room full of people, and you notice something. You're 3 steps ahead in every conversation. Not because you're trying, because your brain just works that way. While they're still processing the question, you've already seen the answer, and the problem it creates, and the reason it won't work. You don't say it out loud anymore. You learn that lesson early. Being right too often doesn't make you popular. It makes you lonely, so you stay quiet. You nod. You let them arrive at conclusions you reached 5 minutes ago, and you wonder if this is what intelligence actually costs. Because here's what they don't tell you about having a high IQ. It doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like living in a world that moves in slow motion, where everyone else is watching the movie at normal speed, and you're seeing every frame, every pattern, every inconsistency, every lie people tell themselves to stay comfortable. You were the kid who got bored in class, not because you weren't paying attention, because you were paying too much attention. You'd finish the assignment in 10 minutes and spend the next 40 staring at the ceiling, trapped in your own thoughts. Teachers called it distraction, but it wasn't distraction. It was isolation. Your mind racing while the world asked you to wait, and that gap never closed. It just got wider. Now you're older, and you've learned to hide it better. You dumb yourself down in conversations. You laugh at jokes you saw coming. You pretend to be surprised by things that were obvious from the start, because fitting in feels safer than standing out. But inside, you're exhausted. Exhausted from translating your thoughts into words people can follow. Exhausted from living at half speed. Exhausted from the weight of seeing things no one else seems to see. And the worst part? You start to doubt it. Maybe you're not smart. Maybe you're just overthinking. Maybe everyone feels this way and you're the only one arrogant enough to think you're different. So you do nothing with it. You scroll, you distract, you let that brain that could solve problems sit idle, refreshing the same apps, watching the same shows, waiting for something to feel urgent enough to act on. Because motivation is a lie you've already seen through. You know it fades, you know it's unreliable, you know that waiting to feel like it is just another way to stay stuck. And this is where everything changes. Because the research shows something most people miss. High IQ doesn't correlate with success. It correlates with potential, and potential without action is just noise. Neuroscience has found that people with high fluid intelligence actually struggle more with executive function. Translation: you can see the solution, but starting feels impossible. Your brain is wired to analyze, to predict, to see every outcome before you move, which means you also see every way it could fail, every reason it might not work, every variable you can't control. So you wait, you plan, you perfect the idea in your head until the moment passes, and the gap between what you're capable of and what you're actually doing gets wider every year. But here's the truth they won't tell you. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to care. It's about moving without needing to. It's about building a life where your intelligence serves you instead of trapping you. Because you were never lazy. You were just waiting for certainty. And certainty doesn't come before action. It comes after. The most successful people with high IQs aren't the ones who think the hardest. They're the ones who learn to act despite the thinking, to start before they're ready, to build before it's perfect, to move while their mind is still listing reasons to wait. That's not ignorance. That's power. Because your brain will always find a reason to delay. It's designed to. It's protecting you from risk, from failure, from discomfort. But protection becomes prison when it keeps you from becoming who you're capable of being. So the question isn't whether you're smart enough. You already know you are. The question is whether you're brave enough to stop thinking and start building. To use that pattern recognition not to predict failure, but to create systems. To take that ability to see 3 steps ahead and actually walk them, one at a time, without announcement, without applause, just movement, just progress. Just the quiet decision to stop waiting for the right moment and make this one count. Because the world doesn't need more smart people sitting on the sidelines, analyzing everything and doing nothing. It needs people who see clearly and act anyway. And you're one of them. You've always been. The only question left is what you're going to do about it.